ॐ सदाशिवसमारम्भाम् शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्ताम् वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ नमो भगवते वैवस्वताय मृत्यवे ब्रह्मविद्याचार्याय नचिकेतसे च। Let us chant from let us chant the 8th mantra. न नरेणावरेण प्रोक्त एषः
नरेणावरेण प्रोक्त एषः
सुविज्ञेयो बहुधा चिन्त्यमानः
सुविज्ञेयो बहुधा चिन्त्यमानः
अनन्यप्रोक्ते गतिरत्र नास्ति
अनन्यप्रोक्ते गतिरत्र नास्ति
अणीयान् ह्यतर्क्यमणुप्रमाणात्।
अनीयान् ह्यतर्क्यमनुप्रमाणात्.
Let's read the Bhaashyam, starting with Athava. That is where we need to start from, correct?
Yes.
So page number, what is page number, Mohan, in your note?
Guruji, I follow the Gita Press in Telugu, so it will be different totally.
Yeah. Narayanan?
Page 52. Gita Press. It is 52.
Sorry, 40. No, it is page 47 in the middle, number 4. Page 47, number 4.
Page 47 of your PDF notes. Okay. Gita Press, whatever page number it is, 53.
53.
It will be varying based on your language and edition. Okay. Athava. We're going to start with Athava. Okay. Everybody got it?
Yeah. So I think Jyoti ji can chant if Mohan ji doesn't have the script.
Sure. I'll start. Okay, I'll follow.
Athava.
Athava.
Prochyamana.
Prochyamana.
Brahmatma bhutena.
Brahmatma bhutena.
Acharyena.
Acharyena.
Prokta atmani.
Prokta atmani.
Agatihi anavabodhaha.
Agatihi anabodhaha.
Anavabodhaha.
Anavabodhaha.
Aparijnanam.
Aparijnanam.
Atra nasti.
Atra nasti.
Bhavatyeva.
Bhavatyeva.
Avagatihi.
Avagatihi.
Tadvishaya shrotuhu.
Tadvishaya shrotuhu.
Tad asmi aham iti.
Tad asmi aham iti.
Acharyasya iva ityarthaha.
Acharasya iva arthartyaha.
Haha.
Arthartyaha.
Ityarthaha.
Nityarthaha.
Yeah. So, Yamadharma Raja has started teaching, has started responding, not teaching yet. Teaching will start only in Na Jayate. Number 18 is where actual teaching will start. Na Jayate, like that. So he has finished his examination of Nachiketa. He wanted to make sure Nachiketa is really serious about this. And he was quite serious. And he's going to be praised further a bit later. And having explained Shreyas and Preyas as the two pursuits of any human being, either it is Shreyas or it is Preyas. And Preyas requires Karta, requires Kartrutvam, requires doership. All of us are born with doership. And then after some time, when the maturity arises, then we begin to understand, begin to appreciate that Atma is Akarta. That is when Shreyo Margaha becomes important. We saw all that a while ago. And then Duramete Viparite Vishuchi number 4. Yama was explaining to Nachiketa that how different these two are, Shreyas and Preyas. And then in number 7, Shravanaya api bahubir yona labhya. He said, it's this particular topic of Atma. It is very difficult for people to even appreciate that there is such a thing. Therefore, there is no chance that a human being will really have the opportunity to get exposed to this subject. He said that. We saw some of that last couple of classes ago. Then why is that Atma Durlabaha? Why is Travanayapi Bahubir Yona Labhyaha? Why is it like that? Is it, are people not willing to teach it, or what is the problem? So then he's responding to that in number 8, which we saw in the last class. Na narena avarena proktaha yeshaha. Yeshaha Atma. If it is taught, proktaha, taught by an avara naraha, an avara acharya, means somebody who is just glancing at this topic and smart, who thinks he or she is smart, and then says, oh, I can pick up all these things, pick up a few books, Vivekananda, this, that, etc., and then read it, and then now I got the idea. Okay, those kinds of people are avara people, because this is not something, it is not another subject, because the guy has done a lot of, he's passed through top colleges and all that, and so this can't be any difficult. Sanskrit, okay, Sanskrit language I can learn, not a problem, but sometimes without learning Sanskrit also, like that man who came to Swamiji and said, Swamiji, I'm going abroad, I'm giving a series of talks, and just tell me Bhagavad Gita, just give me the essence of Bhagavad Gita. Just teach me the essence. Just teach me the essence means what? How much time do you have? Just 10 days I have, okay? 10 days. I booked my ticket. I'm leaving in 10 days. So, in 10 days, tell me everything. I the other basics and all I got. Now, Swamiji has to decide what to respond, how to respond. So, these kinds of people are a bit dangerous. They know how to talk also, And so, it's hard to figure out whether these people know anything or not also. So, avaraha naraha. And then what happens if such people teach? He said, Na suvidnyeyaha. Na suvidnyeya. Atma will become clouded in mystery, as they say. Not going to be easy at all. And then Bahuda Chintyamanaha. Not only different people like this, different teachers like this will give different ideas about Atma. Within the same class itself, you go around and ask the people, Bahuda Chintyamanaha. Hey, how come one teacher is there? And how come 20 students are telling 20 different things about Atma? How is it possible? That also Bahuda Chintyamanaha. Okay. So look at the importance of a mantra like this. Just you have to just think it through. And then Ananya, on the other hand, Okay, in contrast to this Avaranara, and then Ananya Prokte, we saw the meaning of Ananya last time. Gatiratra Nasti. So just to review, two meanings of the word Ananya. What are the two meanings? First meaning is the one who has the vision of Advaita Atma. That is the first meaning, namely referring to the teacher. And the second meaning is Advaita Atma itself is also called Ananya. We saw those two meanings, 1 and 2. And then Gatihi was the other word that Shankaracharya has given this four meanings, four interpretations. What are the interpretations? First is what? Doubtful, knowledge filled with doubts. Samshaya vagatihi, samshaya jnanam. Second is knowledge with error. Okay, error, knowledge with a lot of errors. And then third is samsara gatihi. So this transmigration, this life of becoming and becoming and becoming and becoming, this endless life is called is one meaning of gatihi. Third meaning, A, B, C, and D. D is what? Anavagatihi, not understanding at all. The A, B, and D are similar meanings. Okay, these different ways of saying doubtful understanding, doubtful knowledge, error. Knowledge that has errors is really no knowledge, really speaking. So, like they say, half-baked knowledge. Half-baked knowledge is more dangerous than not knowing. He who reads nothing is better than he who reads nothing but newspapers. So like that. So somebody who reads newspapers, he reads all kinds of newspapers and thoroughly confused, and not only that, he thinks he's very enlightened. That's the problem. So so therefore that is the meaning, four meanings of gatihi. And then we saw the first interpretation of Shankaracharya. Shankaracharya is not explaining this way, the way we explained just now. Okay, he is just taking 1 plus a as first interpretation. 1 plus a means what? When it is taught by a person who has the right vision of Advaita Atma, then there is no gatihi, means no doubtful understanding. There is no doubtful understanding, means the understanding is free from doubt. Okay, two negatives are there. Okay. Then second interpretation is what? When Atma is taught as Advaita Atma, as the entity which has no second at all, as non-dual Atma, then there is no gatihi. There is error-free understanding. Okay. Third interpretation also we did, and that was what? And 2C. I think it was 2C, if I remember right. Okay. 2C is what? When it is taught as Advaita Atma, then there is no gatihi, there is no samsara. Correct? Are we good so far? This is what we did. Okay. Now, what we read just now, the Bhaashyam, Athava words, begins the fourth interpretation. That's why Athava. Alternatively, you can interpret it this way also, Shankara is saying. And so let's see that. Athava prochyamana brahmatma bhutena acharyena ananyataya prokte atmani. So now you will see both 1 and 2. So the way to mark this is what? 1, 2, and then D. 1 plus 2, and then D. Okay, that is the interpretation here. 1 plus 2 means what? We can guess what it is. When a person who has the vision of Atma, Advaita Atma, teaches Atma as Advaita Atma. How else will that person teach Atma? I don't know. But that is emphasis, double emphasis there. And so that is what is being said. Look at this. Okay. Prochyamana brahmatma bhutena acharyena. Acharyena, by a teacher, by an acharya. What kind of acharya? Prochyamana brahmatma bhutena. Means the Atma which who considers the Atma to be not different than the self, who considers Brahma to be not different than the self. Brahmatma bhutena. Brahmaikyam. Atma and Brahma are identical. Therefore, there can't be a God that is separate from me. That person. Prochimana. Prochimana means what? Ah, taught. The taught Brahma, one who teaches about Brahma, no doubt, the one who does not consider the taught Brahma to be different from oneself. Prochyamana means taught. Taught. That Brahma which is taught by this Acharya, one who does not consider that Brahma to be different from oneself. Okay, or one who considers that Brahma to be same as Atma. That is the meaning of that Prochyamana Brahmatma Bhutena. By that Acharya, then what? Ananyataya propte Atmani. That Atma, when it is taught as Ananya, Ananya means what? Not different from the self. Same thing that was taught, that the Acharya knows. And Bhagavan Bhashyakara is using both meanings, 1 and 2, correct? One is that Prochyamana Brahmatma Bhutena, and then 2 is what? Ananyataya, as Atma, as Ananya. Ananya. Atma as Purnaha. Atma as not different from this world. Okay, I am not different from this world. I've taken myself to be different from this world, associating with this body and limiting my understanding to this body alone. And therefore, by that person taught as non-dual Atma, Prokte Sati, Atmani. So this is a peculiar Sati Saptami, as I said. When Atma is taught, Atmani Prokte means what? When Atma is taught. That is the meaning. In this particular manner, by such a person. Okay. Then Agatihi. That is the key word here. He is reading Gatihi as Agatihi. Okay, last time we were briefly mentioning. So that is because Sandhi. Shankaracharya says, he says, look at the mantra there. Mantra says, Ananya Prokte Gati. Okay. But in Sandhi rule, when the Ananya Prokte, that Ekara is followed by Akara also, Agatihi, if it would have been Agatihi, then also that Akara will drop by a particular Sandhi rule. And therefore, it could be Agatihi. Somebody could argue that it could have been Agatihi. How do you know it is Gatihi? Because it's all Karna Parampara, you know. Karna Parampara need not have been written, all these things. And so like for example, look at a shloka in Bhagavad Gita. If you have the book, you can look it up. Chapter 1, verse number 44. Okay. This is Arjuna Vishada Yoga. This is where Arjuna is lamenting. Okay. And so in that shloka, so Utsanna Kula Dharmana. That is how it starts. Okay. So if you don't have the book, it's all right. Utsanna Kula Dharmana Manushyanam Janardana Narake Niyatam Vasaha Bhavati Janushrushruma. Like that he says. Okay. So he's basically saying, he's talking about himself. He says, if I'm going to kill people, a lot of people they're just going to perish. And the guy, we all know very well, Iti Anushrushrama, we've heard that somebody who destroys dharma is definitely going to hell. Okay? Definitely going to Naraka. So Narake Niyatam Vasaha. That is the message in this shloka. Okay, now look at this. Narake Niyatam Vasaha. That's the main phrase I want you to look at. Narake Niyatam Vasaha. Niyatam. So Niyatam is in Niyam. There is a Niyama. It's a law. It's inevitable. Going to Naraka is inevitable for such a person. That is the first meaning. Narake Niyatam. Then Narake Aniyatam also is possible because of Sandhi. Narake Aniyatam is possible. Then you have to interpret Aniyatam differently. Okay. Then there you have to say that Aniyatam means indefinite period. The stay in Naraka is indefinite. Means we don't know. Based on karma, it is going to go. And definitely a visit is there. When you will return from this naraka, nobody will know. That is the other meaning. Narake aniyatam vasaha. Indefinite stay. That is the way to interpret that. So when these things come, the people who are commenting on this should be aware of this sandhi and then be able to interpret it both ways. Both ways, the interpretation should be correct. Sometimes only one way is possible. Okay, only one way is possible. Okay, so yachreyasyan nishchitam bruhi tanve shishyasteham shadi mam tvam prapannam. Okay, in the second chapter it comes, right? 7 or something like that. Shishyasteham, shishyasteham. Te, if you look at your book, the A will be missing. A is not there. It's not te aham. Teham. What happened? There is no word called hum in Sanskrit. You can hum if you want, but there's no hum in Sanskrit. Okay. And so what happened? What is this? Aham. Te aham. Aham. Te, your, tava, shishya. I am your student now. I declare myself as your student. Arjuna is saying this, right? So aham te shishya. So there te ham, akara is dropped. Same sandhi. That is applying, that Shankara is seeing in this mantra. Okay. Yeah, Bhagya.
Jaykumarji, in the mantra, there is the avagraha chihnam anyway, right? So it is agati only.
No, somebody put avagraha chinna.
Okay.
Somebody must have put it. Some human being has put avagraha chinna. Yama did not put it.
Okay. So in the original text, it was not there.
Yama did not put it. Yama is teaching Nachiket. I don't think he had a blackboard, whiteboard and all.
Okay.
Correct? Therefore, so, but then see, you can't, the Moolam cannot have avagraha chinna. I'll tell you why. Because Shankaracharya says there need not be avagraha chinna or there could be avagraha chinna. Okay, you are probably referring to the Bhagavad Gita mantra or what?
No, the Kathopanishad.
Kathopanishad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It has.
Kathopanishad, in my Bhagavad Gita book, there is no avagraha chinna.
In this Gita Press one, there is avagraha chinna.
Yeah, that must be a different edition.
Yes.
Different.
No,
But
Gita Press Gorakhpur, Hindi version, Sanskrit version, it doesn't have Avagraha Chinna.
yeah, different editions are there, Ma.
Yeah, different editions.
Different editions are there. My point is this. Shankaracharya is going to use the avagraha chinna and also not use avagraha chinna. Okay, so now he is using the avagraha chinna. First three interpretation, he did not use it. Gatihi, gatihi, gatihi was there. Now he goes.
Jaykumarji, that means that if Avagraha Chinnam is there, we can interpret like Anityam and Aniyat and Niyatam, Aniyatam. So we can interpret in two ways.
No. Graha is there means akara is there. Graha indicates akara. Vagraha means akara.
Yeah, Purva Rupa Sandhi it says.
It is akara. Vagraha means akara is there, but it's just not visible to you. Don't ignore it. When you understand it, when you split the words, don't ignore it. That is the meaning. Shankara is saying that whether the Avagraha is there or not, when you chant it, it's going to be what? Ananya prokte gadiratra nasti. Okay. When you chant it, that's the only way to chant it, whether Akara is there or not there. Yes or no? Convince yourself. Okay. So therefore, this is how it is chanted, but we don't know whether the A is there or not, Shankaracharya is saying. But now I'm going to put the A there. Okay, Shankaracharya is saying. And therefore, if you take the word, I'm going to take the word as agatihi, even though you've been hearing it as gatihi, it is agatihi. There is a avagraha there, Shankaracharya is saying. There could be, I've explained to you when the avagraha is not there, I've explained to you first three interpretations. Now I'm going to tell you the meaning of agatihi. He says, no, the meaning is still going to be the same. How? Because he's going to interpret agatihi as what? Not gati, transmigration, no transmigration. No, not that. Agatihi is anavabodhaha. Avabodhaha means understanding. Anavabodhaha means non-understanding. Okay? Non-understanding. Aparijnanam. Anavabodhaha is equal to aparijnanam. Jnanam, knowledge. Parijnanam, complete knowledge. Means everything you have to know about it, you have known. Nothing more to know. Not even an iota more to know. That's called parijnanam. Aparijnanam is the opposite of that. Incomplete understanding. Lack of understanding. Aparijnanam atra nasti. Okay. So that agatihi, that lack of understanding, non-understanding is not there here. When it is taught by such a person. Okay. That is the meaning Shankaracharya is giving here. Okay. And then he's concluding, summarizing. He's saying, Bhavati eva avagatihi tad vishaya shrotuhu. So, shrotuhu avagatihi eva. Shrotuhu means of the listener, means of the shishya, shishyasya. Avagatihi bhavati eva. Understanding will happen for the student. And tad vishaya, atma vishaya. Okay. The understanding of Atma will happen. Tad here refers to Atma. Yeah, Atma is the Vishaya, I know. And what kind of understanding? Tad asmi aham iti. Tad asmi aham iti. Okay. Tad. That Atma I am. That Atma I am. All along I've been thinking I am the body, I am the mind, I am the senses. I am thin, I am fat, I am sick. I keep on saying this and I take it literally also. I've taken it so literally, and now Shastra is saying, no, you okay, you can say I am sick, and nothing wrong with that statement. But what do you, that is not you. What is becoming sick is not you. What is tall is not you. What is short is not you. What is fat is not you. That is what Shastra is saying. And therefore, that aham asmi tad iti avagatihi bhavati eva. And like what? Acharyasya iva. Exactly like what the Acharya knows. It can't be any less and it can't be any more also. Because there is nothing more than this. Can't be anything more than that. Something better than that is not possible. Because that Nachiketa already said, Shobhavaha, one word, he's finished off everything that are all supposed to be experienced by us. Okay. Therefore, this is the non-experienceable Atma, which is me, the existent me, self-existent me. Okay. Acharyasya iva. Okay. So therefore, so this is, and so he's completed the different interpretations. What we understand from this is this Ananya Prokte, very important. Philosophy, the subject of philosophy is there. Philosophy, you know how they define it? They define it as unaided reasoning. Unaided reasoning. Unaided reasoning. Well, an important attribute of this quote unquote philosophy. Unaided reasoning means what? You reason it out and you come up with your conclusions. You cannot take the help of any other thing. Okay? Any other source not accepted. What do we say? We say Vedaha eva pramanam, Shabdaha eva pramanam. We say. Then what do you mean? Then we don't use any logic. Reasoning, we don't use any reasoning, we simply rely on Veda. No, everything we talk is supposed to be reasonable. It has to have reason, no doubt. Otherwise, this can't be taught. Anything that is taught must have reason in it. Otherwise, it becomes belief. It comes under the category of belief. Nowhere Yamudar Maharaja or other Shankaracharya or anybody says, believe what I say. Believe what I say. No. Understand what I say. This is what they say. Understand means you have to process it. And only then you'll have questions. Q&A will be there. For something to be believed, there is no Q&A. Not possible. Therefore, this philosophy where they say you can't say Veda says this and all that, you have to use reasoning. We say that if you use reasoning alone, you cannot arrive at the Atma. This is Yamadharmaraja is saying it. Reasoning alone. Next mantra, Tarka will come. The word Tarka is going to come. And Tarka means logic. Pure logic cannot help you understand Atma. Why? Because Atma is infinite. You cannot arrive at the infinite from the finite. Logic is very good from taking you from one finite A to another finite B. That is very good. Logic is good for that. Okay. But for Atma, somebody has to come and say, hey, you are what you're seeking. Otherwise, you cannot figure out. And what you're seeking is also Purnatvam. And you are that Purnaha. Sachidananda Atma. No Nobel Prize winner also can guess this. Not possible. But some paperback edition, that person sees, and if the person is ready, the person may say, oh my God, this is it. Over. So that book becomes a paperback, becomes a pramanam for this man or woman. Veda is a pramanam. Don't think some paperback somewhere somebody write, hey, you are what you're seeking. And somebody says, my God, this is it. That becomes a pramanam. That becomes a pramanam. Because nobody can guess it. Because the life begins with seeking. And bondage is assumed. Bondage is a deeply entrenched conclusion. Life begins with that. And so somebody has to say, hey, Atma is not bound at all. So therefore, we don't use the word philosophy for what we are talking about. We call it as a darshana. Darshana. We don't use the word matam. All these things don't apply for what? For this Advaita Vedanta. And others also. Other darshanas or acharyas talk about. They're called darshanas. They're not called philosophies. Anyway, that's one reason. So, we say that you say unaided reasoning, that's your strength. We say that is your weakness. When it comes to Atma, that is your weakness. In other areas, it may be your strength. But Atma, you have to rely on Shabda Pramanam. That is our strength, we say. Okay. So therefore, you have in our tradition, you have Astikas and Nastikas. Astikas are people who consider the Veda as Pramanam. Okay. So all the Shad Darshanaha, so Purva Mimamsakaha, then Vedantinaha, Uttara Mimamsakaha, and then Sankhya's, Yogas, and then Nayayikas, Vaisheshikaha. They're all Astika. Among these, this Sankhya, Yoga, Nyaya, and Vaisheshika are Tarka Pradhana Vadinaha. For them, Tarka is primary. Then only they use Veda. Veda is secondary. And therefore, they don't arrive at this Aham Asmi Atma Brahma Asmi Iti. They can't arrive. Because Tarka Pradhana. Tarka will not allow you to come to this conclusion. Cannot allow you. What logic is there? Tell me, what logic tells you that you are the whole? What logic tells you? No logic is available. But you can reason it out. You can reason it out. Okay. So it's beyond logic. So it's not illogical, but it's beyond logic. Remember that. It is not illogical, but it is beyond logic. Okay. So that's the beauty of our Shastram. That's why it's so sacred for us. And so look at the next one. Let's read the next one now. Next paragraph, which is the last paragraph of this mantra's Bhaashyam. Evam Suvigneya Atma
सुविज्ञेयः आत्मा
Agamavata
आगमवता
आचार्येण
आचार्येण
अनन्यतया प्रोक्तः
अनन्यतया प्रोक्तः
इतरथा हि
इतरता आहि
इतरथा हि
इतरत आहि
अणीयान् अणुप्रमाणात् अपि
अनीयात् अनुप्रमाणात् अपि
सम्पद्यते आत्मा
सम्पत्तते आत्मा
अतर्क्यम्
अतर्क्यम्
अतर्क्यः
अतर्क्यः
स्वबुद्धि अभ्यूहेन
स्वबुद्धि अभ्युत्थेन
केवलेन तर्केण
केवलेन तर्केण
तर्क्यमाणे
तर्क्यमाणे
अनुपरिमाणे
अनुपरिमाणे
केनचित् स्थापिते आत्मनि
केनचित् व्यापिने आत्मनि
ततः
ततः
हि अनुतरम् अन्यः
हि अनुतरम् अन्यः
अभ्यूहति
अभ्यूहति
ततः अपि
अन्यः
अनुतमम् इति
अन्यः अनुतमम् इति
न हि
न हि कृतकस्य
निष्ठा क्वचित् विद्यते
निष्ठा क्वचित् विद्यते.
Again, very important sections that we have to understand. Look at how Kathopanishad is progressing. It's not jumping into the teaching. And there's always a preamble. There is always a build-up. Background has to be understood. Whenever we study Bhagavad Gita, Upanishad and all, it is the responsibility of the Acharya to provide the context, to provide what is the problem, what exactly is the problem we have. Then teaching, and why the teaching is important should be said. Only then the student will get the oh, this is the journey that's going to be. This is why I'm here. Like that idea must be properly given. And so look at that. He's summarizing this discussion by the statement, Evam suvigneyaha atma. You can add bhavati after suvigneyaha. Evam suvigneyaha, within brackets, bhavati. Atma agamavata acharyena ananyataya proktaha. Proktaha, when taught, evam, in this manner. When what is taught in this manner? Atma is taught in this manner. Okay. Then suvigneyaha bhavati. Suvigneyaha bhavati. Suvigneyaha we heard long ago, right? When did we hear? It was in response to Nachiketa's question. Nachiketa said, Yeyam prete vichikitsa manushye. Astityeke nayam astityeke. Just we've heard that this Atma exists, does not exist, all these ideas are there. You please teach me, he said. To that, he said, Devairatrapi vichikitsitam pura. No, this is not for you. Even gods also doubted this. Then what? Nahi suvijneyam anuresha dharmaha. There he used the word suvijneyam. It's not easy to understand, my dear friend, because it's too anu. Yeshaha dharmaha, yeshaha atma anuhu asti. Sukshma. Anuhu. Sukshma asti. Very subtle. And it's not for everybody. Okay. And he said that. So that word is being used here by Shankaracharya. Evam suvijneyah bhavati. So the Atma becomes Suvijnyayaha. There he said, not Suvijnyayaha, Yamadharmaraja. Shankara here says, that can become Suvijnyayaha. When can it become Suvijnyayaha? Easily understood. Agamavata Acharyena. When it is taught by an Acharya. And what kind of Acharya? Look at this word, strong. Agamavata. Agamavata. An Acharya who is an Agamavan. Agamavat is a Pratipadika. So like Bhagavan. So Agamavan. Who is an Agamavan? An Agamavan or an Agamavati, feminine gender, okay, is one who has Agama, who knows the Agama, who knows the Shastra. Who knows the Shastra? Agamavan. Agama means Veda. And so Veda with one who knows the Vedas, one who knows the Karma Kanda, one who knows the Jnana Kanda. Both. Okay. One who knows what Karma Kanda can do and what Karma Kanda cannot do. Also he knows, she knows. And so by that Agamavan, okay, Acharya who is an Agamavan, and when it is taught as what? Ananyataya. Ananyataya. When it is taught as something where there is no second. Atma is one without a second. Sometimes they use that word, phrase, one without a second. Non-dual. Means the entire world is anatma, but anatma is atma. Atma is not anatma. Correct? Anatma is atma, but atma is not anatma. Now you should not stare at me when I say a statement like that. So it is no different than saying pot is clay, but clay is not pot. Our Bhagavad Gita students are experts at this, but some new students are there here. That's why I'm just repeating this. Okay? Pot is clay, but clay is not pot. Okay? Actor is Amitabh Bachchan, but Amitabh Bachchan is not actor. If Amitabh Bachchan were actor, then his family members would be very upset with him. He says, keep your acting outside. Here you're not an actor. You are my father. You got to do stuff for me. Okay? That's what his son will say. So, anyway, that's the meaning here. And then the so very important. Agamavata Acharya. When will this knowledge occur? Shravana Kale. Shravanam is so important here. Mananam and Nididhyasanam are there, no doubt. Mananam is removing doubts. That is called Mananam. And Nididhyasanam is thinking over it so that all my habitual responses are gone. Habitually I am responding. I am used to panicking, anxiety attack. Everything something happens, anxiety. What will happen? Nididhyasanam says, wait a minute. Nothing will happen. Take things as they are. You are complete. Because Shravanam is over. Shravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasanam. Okay. That process of deconditioning my responses is called Nididhyasanam. And so, this Shravana Kale, this happens. This happens during Shravanam, it happens. Not sitting under a tree. Swamiji will say all these things. Purposely, he will say this. Because we got all these ideas that you have to sit under a tree. You must go to Himalayas. All of that, there is a value. We don't deny the value of all that. But that is meant for us to get Shraddha in the Shastram. When I do a Chardham Yatra, I get Shraddha in the Shastram. When I go to places where Shankaracharya has been, I get Shraddha in the Shastram. I connect with Shankaracharya so that when I sit in a class like this, I can begin to understand. Shankaracharya's blessings will come to me. Correct? That is the purpose of all that. So then now the fourth quarter of the mantra. What is the fourth quarter of the mantra? Aniyan hi atarkyam anupramanat. Okay, that Shankaracharya is explaining now. With the word itaratha. Itaratha. Itaratha means what? Anyatha. Anyatha means what? Otherwise. Otherwise means what? If Atma is taught by an Avara Purushaha, if Atma is not taught by an Anya Acharyaha, Ananya Acharyaha, correct? If that is the meaning of the word Itarata, then what happens? He aniyan anutaraha anupramanat api sampadyate atma. Brilliant. Then what happens? If Atma is not taught as non-dual, then what happens? Atma becomes dual. If Atma is not non-dual, then it is dual. Means there are many Atmas. Many Atmas means now Atma will start having attributes. Because otherwise, without attributes, you can't say many. Many means what? You are supposed to count. Counting, how are you going to count? Finiteness will be there. Atma will become finite. Then if Atma is finite, then you have to meditate on that finite Atma. And then, so Atma has become Sagunam. And if Atma is many, then I am not that Atma. I am not that Brahman. That means Brahma is Aparaha. Brahma is Anyaha. Therefore, Ishvara is not me. Ishvara also is Anyaha. Poor Ishvara. His infinite Ishvara I have made finite. I converted Ishvara into finite object. I am looking at Ishvara. I said, hey, you can't look at Ishvara because you are Ishvara, essence. So all these problems will start arising. And then people will ask, how do I meditate on Atma? Tell me, what is this Atma? Is it there in the heart or is it there in the head? All these questions will come. All important questions. Very important wrong questions will come. They're all important, serious questions asked by students. They become very serious when itarathahi, when it is not taught in the way it should be taught. And then this is the problem that will happen. Sampadyate. Anutaraha anupramanat. Anu means small, subtle. It becomes subtler and subtler and subtler. Anupramanat api. Anupramanat means what? Already Atma is subtle. That we all understand. Because if it was gross, we would have heard about it long ago. Okay, we would have had a picture of Atma in our living room, right? We don't have all that. So therefore, Atma is subtle, no doubt. And Anupramanat Anutaraha. He is going to make it more subtler than the subtle. Make it so mysterious, ityarthaha. Mysterious. Mystical. Mystical. This word mystic is a dangerous word. And that is because of this. Mystical, maybe you can hear it and you can say ha and all that you can say, but then that ha will not work here. It will become mystical, because mystical, if you say, it is an experience. A person who experiences something cannot communicate that experience to another person. Period. Not possible. You can say you do this, you meditate it, you look at it like this, you visualize like this, then you will have that experience. Okay, that is fine, nothing wrong with that. But still, is that experience that I got same as the experience that you got? Hey teacher, even teacher cannot say. Because for that, the student has to communicate the experience to the teacher. Then the teacher has to communicate the teacher's experience with the student's experience and then say if it is correct or not. This is all bunkam. There is no end to all these things. Okay. Therefore, Anupramanat Anutaraha. Look at the Shankaracharya and Yamadharmaraja. This is just going. And then what? Why Agamavata? Why should the person know about Vedas? I mean, this is religious. You guys are all fundamentalists. You are always going back to Vedas all the time. Huh? Agamavata. Now, Shankaracharya, look at it. Atarkyam. Atarkyaha Swabuddhya Abhyuhena Kevalena Tarkena. This Atma is Atarkyaha. That is the meaning. Atarkyaha is Samanadikaranyam to Atma. Okay. So Atma is Atarkyaha. Tarka means logic. Atma cannot be reasoned out by logic alone. Okay, we saw that. Why that is like that. And that is why you need the Veda. That is why you need the Veda. And Swabuddhya Abhyuhena Kevalena Tarkena. Kevalena Tarkena. Shankaracharya doesn't say Tarkena. He doesn't say don't use Tarka. Shankaracharya is the ultimate logician. He's constantly using logic and we are scratching our heads trying to find out what he says. Okay, so Tarka is obviously there. Kevalena Tarkena. You say keep the Vedas out, keep Upanishads out. I don't need Upanishads. I don't need Bhagavad Gita. And then just let's use logic and sit down and figure out. He says, Sabuddhya, using one's own intellect. Sabuddhya, Abhyuhena. Okay, speculating. Abhyuhaha, look at that. That is a Sanskrit word for speculation. Speculating using one's own reasoning. Okay, is not possible. Atarkyaha. Atma is atarkyaha. And tarkyamane anuparimane atmani. So if you use tarka, then tarkyamane anuparimane. Tarkyamane means what? The Atma, that concept of Atma that you have derived using Tarka, that is the meaning of Tarkyamane, correct? Tarkyamana, Shanach Pratyaya. Being, the Atma that is being speculated using logic alone, okay? Atma, that Atma, Atmani, bring the Atma forward here. Then what? Kenachit, what happens? Look at the consequences, Shankaracharya is saying. Kenachit sthapite. Means what? If somebody has used logic and has proposed an idea of Atma, kenachit sthapite, correct? Somebody has given the thesis. Atma means this. Atma is Anu. Atma is Pradhana. Atma is Purushaha. Atma has Papam Punyam. The Vedanta says Atma has no Papam Punyam. Okay. But the Nayayika says Atma has Papam, Atma has Punyam. Means Atma is Gunam. Sagunam, they say. They can't go beyond Sagunam. So, sthapite sati, if somebody comes up with that conclusion, then what happens? Tataha hi anutaram anyaha abhyuhati. Anyaha. One person has come up with this conclusion. Anyaha, another person will come up with something more subtle than that. How long will it take for another person to propose the next version of that thesis? In fact, the student of the teacher himself will herself will come up with a new theory, and because that person also is a professor in some university, and so the teacher professor can proudly say, so many students have passed out of this university doing PhD, and look at all where they're all placed. They're all in different big universities, and they're doing research on this. Even though that my student corrected me, means improved on my proposal. That's a matter of pride for the teacher, so-called teacher, right? Therefore, this is how it happens. One is better than the other. One who has better logic, better tools will come up with something better. Why? Because anu, even though subtle, it can be made subtler and subtler. A finite entity can be made smaller and smaller and smaller. Anutaram. Anya, another person, abhyuhati, speculates and makes that idea subtler and more nuanced. You look at some of these theses. Somebody sent me a thesis for some idea about some idea I wanted to study, and they sent me a thesis. The abstract itself I didn't understand. The words they used, I just did not understand. And I had to send it back to him saying, please translate the abstract for me. Tell me in your own words what the abstract means. I had to ask him. Because the words they have used, and slowly they use words that you just don't understand. If you're not in the academia in that field, then you lost it. That's it. You're out of touch. There are so many words coming up. And so, very interesting. Shankaracharya is saying on this. Abhyuhati. Tataha api anyaha anutamam iti. Okay, somebody has made it subtler, anutaraha. Then further another person will come and make it subtlest, anutamam. Look at that. Okay, anutaram, then anutamam. There is no end to this. Tyarthaha. Subtle, subtler, subtlest. Then what? Subtlester, subtlestest. Subtlest, subtlesterester, and so on. Okay? That is what Shankaracharya is saying here. Therefore, this is how it's going to be. And many sutras are there. Vyasacharya in Brahma Sutram, na anuhu, he gives an analysis about these kinds of things. Because Brahma Sutra is an analytical text which demonstrates that all Upanishads are talking about the same Atma. Okay? Advayam Atma, Advaita Atma. Okay, and look at how much time they've spent on all these things. They won't take anything for granted. Any chance of a doubt, they will have to clarify it. And so a lot of Purva Paksha Siddhanta debates are there. And then okay, then nahi kutarkasya nishta kvachit vidyate. Correct? And then he's concluding. This is the final statement of this commentary. Nishta na vidyate. Kutarkasya. This kutarka is a word. Many people will probably know in their languages. You will find this word kutarkam. In Tamil we say kudarkam. Kudarkam. My parents used to tell me. Okay, go ahead and mute yourself, please. Okay. Kudarkam pesada means don't argue like this. Eduthu pesada means I told you, you just do it. Don't ask questions. Parents used to tell teachers children all the time. I'm sure it's there in all families. There they use the word kutarkam. Means don't try to give some vague logic and justify what you want to do. Okay, that is called kutarka.
It's also said Vitandavada.
Yeah, Vitandavada. Vitandavada. So here tarka being highlighted. So kutarkaha. Okay. So Vitanda fellow need not use tarka. He can be illogical also. Tarka is strong logic. Okay, the Tarkikas are very strong people in logic. You can't do anything. They'll figure out flaws in your logic very quickly. But Vitanda fellow is intent on proving you wrong somehow or the other. And he will bring your mother and parents also into the picture. That fellow is a Vitandavadi. Okay. But Tarkikas won't do all that. They won't, insults will not be there. Okay. Therefore, Kutarkasya nahi nishta kvachit vidyate. There can't be any, nishta here means finality. There can't be any finality when you use logic. When you use logic alone, there can't be any finality. Why? Because anuhu, anutaraha, anutamam, anutamataraha. I don't know if there is a word called anutamataraha, but we're just saying anutamataraha. Then anutamataramaha or anutamatamaha. Like that, it goes on and on. The nishta will not be there. There's no finality. Nothing finite has a finality. That's the idea. Which we know, which is not difficult for us to understand. Why? You take any field. Take the field of medicine, for example. You do this. You look at the prescriptions given by doctors today for a particular ailment. Okay. Suppose somebody had pneumonia and they were admitted in the hospital for a few days. Today, just pick up that prescription, that series of medicines that were given today in a hospital, big hospital. Okay. Compare it to the same ailment, same hospital prescriptions given 20 years ago. Just 20 years ago enough. Okay. Do you think there'll be a difference or not? There'll be difference. Today the nebulizers are the norm. Those days they may or may not have, some 30 years ago may not have used it. We don't know. And like this, medicines given, better medicines today than those days. Side effects. So the nurse gave, my father had high BP. He was given nifedipine, the sublingual thing they give on the tongue to reduce the BP fast. And carefully it has to be administered. And then I told the doctor, the nurse gave nifedipine. The doctor said, that's a very old medicine. There are better medicines than that. That's what he said. So that means what? This nurse and the doctor that is advising this nurse have not updated themselves in a while. Whatever he studied in college, he's prescribing even now. Okay. These are all problems. We have to figure out all this. So, medicine is like that. Every field is like that. So MRI technology has gone up. Therefore, whatever orthopedics they studied 20 years ago, they can't use that as what norm or as final. Hey, they can see more and more of the bones these days, and so now technology is improved, and so you have to update. The doctor, orthopedist, has to update his or her idea of what bone disease is, what is osteoporosis, everything. Similar idea, but then improved ideas, and even be willing to change medications. You can't say, oh, I used to give this medication, same thing I'll give today also. No, you don't have to do that. Same thing if you give, then you're not a doctor. In fact, non-doctors like others will come and say, hey, this is old medication. You're supposed to give new medication. And so, changing, constantly changing. This is true with every subject. Any subject you take it, even nutrition will be like that. Some things are there which are good, but why by now so much nutrition knowledge is there? All of us must be good in terms of diet. Nothing. People eat all kinds of stuff despite WhatsApp. All these messages are coming every day. Still, people are eating all kinds of stuff. Therefore, constantly they have to keep on being give these messages, and new foods are coming. They have to analyze these foods. There are beautiful shows. Other day we saw somebody is talking about all these refined flours. What is the problem? He talks in simple language for people to understand. And you go to bakery and eat all these things. First, understand what is there in this cake. Like that, he talks, and then he gives a beautiful talk, and for average people to understand. So we constantly need all these things. And psychology, okay, psychology is constantly improving. Neuroscience. Those days, nobody knew what neuroscience was. Today, you ask what are you going to do? College, what field you are interested in? Say neuroscience. Oh, neuroscience. Oh, the only word I knew when I was in school was neuron. That's all. Neuron. That word, the nerve cell is called neuron. That's all I knew. Now, neuroscience they want to study. Why? Because it's improved. So much is there to do. Mind, of course, is so vast. Mind will never allow you to figure out the mind. This much is guaranteed. And so, therefore, it's a growing subject. It has to be growing. Nobody can ever say, you know everything about the mind. Nobody can ever say. Therefore, the science is always growing. Psychologists and psychiatrists will always have jobs wherever they are. And so, this is how it is. Nishta kvachit na vidyate. Nishtha. Look at the word Shankaracharya is using. Okay, Nishtha means you can never say, something always missing. Something missing. The something missing idea cannot be there in Brahma Vidya. A jnani cannot have that. We don't call such a person as a jnani. Not possible. Okay. So therefore, can have some vague ideas, some insights can be there. Insight. This word insight is a beautiful word. Insights can be there. But jnanam is not insight. Okay. All right. So let's do a Anvaya of this mantra. Okay, if you're ready to write down. Avarena narena proktaha. Avarena narena proktaha. Within brackets, sun. Avarena narena proktaha sun. Yeshaha, within brackets, atma. Yeshaha atma. Or you can do it better. Yeshaha bahuda chintyamanaha. Atma reserved for later. Yeshaha bahuda chintyamanaha atma. Yeshaha bahuda chintyamanaha atma, within brackets. Suvigneyaha na bhavati, in brackets. Suvigneyaha na bhavati, full stop. Next sentence. Ananya prokte sati. Sati supplied. Ananya prokte sati. Atra atma vishaye supplied. Atra Atma Vishaye. Supplied means within brackets. Atra Atma Vishaye. Gatihi na asti. Gatihi nasti. Full stop. Next sentence. Itharata supplied. Itharata hi. Itharata hi. Atharkyam Atma. Atma supplied. Atharkyam Atma. Anupramanat Aniyan Bhavati. Anupramanat Aniyan Bhavati. Let me read that again. Avarena Narena Proktaha San Yeshaha Bahuda Chintyamanaha Atma Suvigneyaha Na Bhavati. Full stop. Ananya Prokte Sati Atra Atma Vishaye Gatihi Na Asti. Itarata means anyatha. Itarata hi atarkyam atma anupramanat aniyan bhavati. Anupramanat aniyan means what? Subtler than the subtle. Means made subtler, etc.
Don't take that as agatihi there, only gatihi.
Yeah, I've given only one meaning. So, and how we are going to translate this into English, you can definitely try that. All the 4 interpretations you can give. So that Ananya Prokte Atra Gatihi Nasti. Atra Agatihi Nasti is another meaning. So that will be the 4th interpretation. 3 interpretations for Gati. So this gives us the strength to ability to look at these Sanskrit shlokas, sentences, and grasp the essence, and then understand there are some variations. But if there are so many variations, then too many meanings and all. Yeah, it's okay. Let there be too many meanings. That is why fundamentally what are you after must be clear. Fundamentally, what are we looking for? Are the meanings consistent with what you know? Is it all gelling? Is all the dots lining up? All that we keep in mind. Based on that, you can interpret anything any way you want. So that's the idea here. Okay, we've got a few minutes. Let's chant the next mantra. Naisha Tarkena.
Is it me or
Who
Premaji?
is it, Guruji? I don't know. It's Prasanna or Prema?
Prasanna.
Okay.
Okay.
Sorry. Naisha Tarkena
Matirapaneya.
Matirapaneya
Proktanyenaiva.
Proktanyena Naiva
Sujnanaya Prishta.
Sujnanaya Preshta
Yam Twamapaha.
Yam Twamapaha
Sorry, Yam Twamapaha.
Yam Twamapaha
Satyadhritirbatasi.
Satyadhrutibratasi
Batasi.
Bratasi. Sorry.
Batasi.
Vratas is Bratasi, right?
Satyadhritihi.
Satyadhrutihi
Batasi.
Batasi
Kwadrinnaha.
Twadhrnaha
Bhuyat.
Bhuyat
Nachiketah Prashta.
Nachiketa Prashtha
Yeah, we will chant it again in the next class. I will give you the gist of this mantra. Similar idea. Tarkena. Look at that. He's talking about tarka here, right? Already introduced logic last time. And so, tarkena, Shankaracharya used that in the Bhaashyam. In the Mula Mantra, in the last Mula Mantra, the word tarka is not there. Okay? But Shankaracharya used it in his Bhaashyam. Here that word tarka has come. So similar idea is indicated here. Tarkena matihi apaneya. Tarka cannot access Atma. Atma is inaccessible if you use Tarka alone. Kevala Tarkena Atma na labhyaha. That is the meaning of that sentence. Okay? We'll explain it again in the next class. Then Prokta Anyena Eva. Prokta Anyena Eva Sujnayaya Prishta. So Sujnanaya Prishta. So it has to be taught by Ananya, and here the word Anya is used. Okay.
Guruji, it must be Ananya only. Yeah.
So that's what I'm looking. So it is Anyena. Okay. So the reason is this. Okay. This Anyaha is what? Tarkena is a primary here. Therefore, Tarkikant Anyaha. Kevala Tarki. Bhashyakara is going to help us. Don't worry. So that's why. This is why we need Bhashyakara. Tarkikat Anyena Eva means somebody who's other than a pure Tarkika, pure logician. Only when taught by somebody other than a pure logician who relies on the Vedas, then it becomes Sujnaya. Hey Preshta, hey Priyatama, hey dear one. It becomes easy to understand. Sujnanaya Preshta. Then Satya Dhritihi, he uses the word Satya Dhritihi. You are Satya Dhritihi in Nachiketa. You are somebody who has firm resolve. You are very clear about what you want. Satya Dhritihi. Okay. And then Twadrin no Bhuyan Nachiketa Prashta. Very interesting statement. Okay. Hey Nachiketa, I wish I had more students like you. Can you believe the statement by Yama? Okay, that's what Yama is saying. Twadrik, like you. No, means for us, no bhuya. May there be students like you. Brilliant statement. And then you wonder, will anybody go to Yama? Did anybody in this world ever said, facing Yama itself is a problem. We just turn our heads away from south. South means just wrong. Don't do that. Just don't even look at the south. Hey, south is also a direction from Delhi. If you have to go to Kanyakumari, you have to face south. There's no chance you cannot avoid the south direction. But then the south itself we are not willing to face. But there is a question of learning from Nachiketa. So this is the gist of this mantra. I will repeat that again in the next class. Okay. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om